Hi everyone, back again with another short video to help you out with some of the questions that you're going to get in the mock exam, obviously. This one I'm focusing on two quite beefy questions in the exam, modular cell production and also manufacturing production schedules. Okay, or master production schedules. I think I got that wrong already. Sorry about that. This is covered by Mr. Johnson, but I thought I would just do a really quick overview just to hopefully build on some of the stuff that you already know. So let's talk about modular cell production first and some of the advantages, why companies use it in the manufacturing industry, what benefits it brings. And it's all tied into this idea of like lean manufacture. Making things as quick and as efficient and kind of minimizing human error along the way. So cellular manufacturing is all about small groups of workers working close together on a certain component or a part of a larger product. So for example, if we think about cars, it could be that they are working on the door assembly, or it could be things like installing the turning the wheel column. You know what I'm trying to say. Basically, different components that are made and then assembled together at the end. So to accomplish this, like I said, the workers are grouped together in cells, kind of just like little groups. That are very close together. So that facilitates or helps with the production being continuous. And also what's really good is that if something's not working in that small cell, it's easier for them to communicate between each other rather than someone quite far up in the distance across the factory who's having an issue with something. Actually, they might not get a chance to speak to the person where the issue is arising. But if they're working in a small little group, they're going to get to know each other. They'll get to know the part that they're making really, really well. So they'll be able to speed up things, identify if there's any problems. And that's why it's a very efficient, process and helps to improve the quality of the component product in the end as a finished product. So some other things that they do is they minimize the amount that the materials and the product and the equipment and the people have to move around. So it's very similar to something called a working triangle. If you've ever heard of that, it's kind of a ergonomics concept. And designers of kitchens use it quite a lot, because if you stand in your kitchen and, for example, you're using the stove, the hob or something, you want to make sure that everything is within reach. So for example, you might need a drawer with your knives in, you might need somewhere here for your chopping board, you might need space next to your stove. So it's trying to minimize the amount that you have to move around your kitchen. And that's called a working triangle. And the smaller that you can make that, the more compact that you can make that, the more efficient and quicker you're going to be able to work. And that's similar to this. So having materials to hand, having equipment close together, so you might use one bit of equipment for one bit and then move on to the next one. You're not having to walk across the whole factory floor to use certain bits of kit. And having people in the right places at the right time, so they don't have to walk around constantly. They are, staying where they need to be. So that helps to reduce cycle times, so how long it takes to make each bit, and it reduces the amount of times you have to grab things, move things, because potentially accidents could happen when you're moving things around the factory, especially if it's like a big heavy product, say like an engine block. If you had to keep picking that up and moving it, potentially it could become damaged, could get dropped, blah blah blah. So that kind of reduces things like that, and also it helps meet the customer demands, because people want products quickly, they want them to be high quality, and they want them as quickly as possible. Okay, so by having these little cells, you're going to help the business to meet the customer demand. Okay, so that's a couple of things to begin with about modular or cell production. Modular just means it can be customized. You can move things around, add things in, take things out. Just like if you had like a modular cupboard at home, you could add shelves here or take bits away. So you can tailor it to what you want it to do. Okay, and the cell kind of gives the idea of it being quite a small, compact little group that does its own thing, like a cell in your body. It does its own little thing, and they all work together to make a whole product. So the picture in the top right with all the numbers, I think is quite useful as a visual representation of how manufacturing would have done before. So for example, before where it says number 1 and then you move to number 2 and 3, and you can see you're going back on yourself and having to walk quite far around to do different things, crisscrossing and all that sort of stuff. When actually, when you look at the after, and that with that more organized, if you imagine the numbers are pieces of machinery with people stationed at them, you can see that the product goes in and it goes around all of the different bits and then it goes out. So it's much more efficient and organized, and that helps you know, with the lead times, how long it takes to make the product, and that's the idea behind cellular production. So manufacturing cell brings together all of the elements needed to produce a part in a central location. So everything, if we go back to the idea of them making a car door, they would need everything they need for that component in the right spot. It's almost like when you start building Lego. I've done quite a lot of that over Christmas. We've had a Lego house, Lego stables. But for example, if I was making one part of the Lego, I wouldn't spread the little bags of Lego all over the place. I'd have them all in one spot, so I know that they're all within reach. So you have the machines, the tools, and the personnel, so the people, they will all be in that cell, in that small area. And everything is close at hand, meaning you don't need to move to other areas to retrieve things. So it speeds things up. That's our idea of lean manufacturing, making things quicker and getting rid of any kind of waste, be it wasting time, wasting materials, all that sort of stuff. So this is quite interesting. Workers within each cell are cross-trained, not cross-dressed. That's what I've been watching way too much RuPaul's Drag Race. I read it as cross-dressed, but never mind. Cross-trained, meaning that they can do different parts. So, for example, if someone was ill on that day and they were the person who drills the holes, everyone would be trained on those particular skills, so anyone can handle lots of different tasks. So you don't want the one person responsible for welding everything together. You don't want only one person to be able to do that, because that's quite risky. So it means everyone has the skills needed to handle different tasks in the cell. Some other advantages of this type of manufacturing. You get a lot of stability in your small team, because the longer you work together on the same product, you're going to have better communication, meaning you can build a real good team spirit and you know exactly how people work and the pace at which they work, meaning that you're going to be a really good team. Processes, defects, scheduling, maintenance, all of those kind of things like maintenance of the machinery can be managed more efficiently, because you're going to be using that machine a lot on a day-to-day basis. And if you know there's something up with the machine, or you know that it's been used for so many hours, you can keep more of an eye on that, rather than it being used by multiple people in the factory and actually everyone kind of forgetting about it. So that makes that more efficient and cost effective. And this is similar to the first point, really. Workers become kind of multi-skilled, and they can be more adaptable and flexible to the changes in the business. So if you suddenly had to start making a different type of product, they wouldn't just be trained on drilling one hole. They will be able to handle lots of different skills. So it's a real interesting idea that has revolutionized manufacturing, really, to kind of make it more efficient. And Toyota were one of the first businesses that kind of came up with this idea of lean manufacturing, and cell production is one of those things as well. So any questions on that, let me know, send me an email. Otherwise, I think that's quite a simple production thing to kind of talk about. There's plenty for you to mention. Next thing I want to talk about is not very exciting, it's a bit dull, but it's called a master production schedule. And this is a piece of software, so like a database in a way, and it's used in just-in-time manufacturing. So just-in-time manufacturing revolves around this idea of everything has to be in the right place at the right time. You need to have the right amount of materials, you need the right supply line, you need the delivery to be at the right time, you need everything to come together at the right point. And obviously that all needs to be coordinated, and that's what this program does. So it basically monitors the amount of products that you make, the amount of materials you have in your factory. It monitors, the amount of stock. I think I already said that, but the idea of it is to minimize overstock. So if you end up with lots of excess stock in just-in-time production, it's a disaster, because the whole point is that you make it and it's gone. You don't want to store it. You don't want it gathering dust in a storage unit, because it could potentially go out of fashion or not be wanted anymore. And also you have to pay for heating, lighting, security. So the idea of this production schedule is to minimize you having too much of a product. So it keeps an eye on how many are ordered, how much material you have, and the kind of progress of the product through the manufacturing line. But also it maximizes on-time delivery. So it's like it's kind of a piece of software that plans and controls and coordinates all of these really complex things to make just-in-time production work. So what does it do? I've kind of spoken about that already, but let's go through it again. These are the specific things that it does. It triggers. So if it realizes that you don't have a certain amount of stock of one thing, it will go bing, and it will trigger an order, send that off to a supplier, and then that stock will come in, and hopefully that will coordinate with you needing it to go on to the customers. So it can control the amount of stock that you have. You don't really want people looking after that. You don't want someone to have to go and count how many red PlayStation 5 controllers you have. That's a terrible example, but you don't want that. You want to be able to have that information in electronic form, so that it can be really easy to control your stock. It's done automatically. So materials need to arrive when they are needed in just-in-time production. And how do they monitor that in their factories and in the production line? They use barcodes and RFID, so radio frequency identification. So as they are, as the box of materials comes into the factory, they're scanned. That is uploaded to the master production schedule that then goes, okay, our sheets of high impact polystyrene have now come in, therefore we need to shift this and move this and do this. Okay, so it triggers and coordinates orders of materials and sends those off to suppliers so that things come in at the right time. I hope I haven't overcomplicated that, but that's the one thing that it does. It triggers and makes sure that it has the right materials and keeps an eye on your stock inventory. The next thing that it does, and this is the last slide, it's not too much more. These are the most exciting pictures I could find for master production schedules. So that just shows you it's not really very exciting. It also schedules machines and people. So it plans production schedules and timings. It makes sure that you've got the right people at the right time. So for example, if you can see that you're going to need certain types of workers at certain points in the production, it will make sure that those are scheduled. So it could do what they call like rotas, and give you an idea of where you might need more workers at certain points or less, because that's going to help you control your spending. You don't want lots of workers in the factory when there's not many orders, so you kind of need that, helps you to control that. And this is really interesting, or kind of. In terms of flexible manufacturing, if you need to quickly change the type of product that you are making, say you are making a lawnmower, that's the most exciting thing I could think of, and you need to quickly change to making a hedge trimmer. Woo, what exciting examples. This schedule can put all of those changes in place. It can automatically reconfigure machinery. So it might upload different CAD files, it might suggest different movements of things around the factory, it might program different orders to come in. So it can help you to become more of a flexible business and be able to respond more quickly to changes in customer demand. Okay, so that's the second thing. It helps you to schedule machines and people so that they're doing the right things at the right time. And it can also help you to reconfigure your machinery if you need to make different products. So it's quite useful. And the master production schedule also links to your electronic point of sale. So I used to work in Waitrose, and we had one of those little, anyone who works in a like a supermarket, you have like these little guns, not gun, but you know what I mean, like a boop, and it scans a barcode on the product, and it will tell you how many you've got out the back, how many are on order, it's coming, when is it coming in. So this schedule links to your point of sale so that any orders can be processed really quickly. So if you get an order at the till, it links to this. This then triggers orders of materials, make sure that you've got people in place, make sure that your machinery is all configured correctly. So it really is a major part of a well ordered and efficient manufacturing company. If they don't have a master production schedule, you're going to have issues where maybe there's communication issues, and that's going to cause a massive problem with just-in-time production. You want everything to be working together, and that's what this schedule does. Okay, so it's not just a spreadsheet, it's a really clever program that helps you to kind of automatically control your stock, and like it said on the previous page, minimize overstock and maximize the amount of products that you are getting out to your customers. Okay, hope that helps. Make sure you revise that, make sure you understand those two things, because they come up obviously in your exam. After, I'm going to probably try and do one more video for you lot. After that one, I'll then move on to doing videos for the second paper, okay, which is I think next Wednesday on the 12th. So like I said, hope that's useful, and I will see you on the next video.